Folks, welcome into That Betting Show for April 17th, 2019. Your one-stop shop for all your sports betting needs. He's Teddy Sabransky. Give him a follow on Twitter at Teddy_Covers. I'm Donnie Seymour at Rightside VP. Big show today. And how about this, Teddy? The Lightning swept 4-0 by the Columbus Blue Jackets. Oklahoma City finds itself down 0-2. Let's get right into the hot topic of the day, because something I don't think very many of us saw coming all the way, Teddy. Riding the Lightning right out of the playoffs. Those Blue Jackets, forget about just winning the series, which, we've seen it in hockey where the 8 upsets the 1 or, a bottom feeder upsets another team. But did we see, Teddy, a 4-game sweep by the Jackets?
Yeah, that's kind of embarrassing. Here's the quote from Lightning coach John Cooper after the sweep. When you have the amount of points we had, it's a blessing and a curse in a way. You don't play any meaningful hockey for a long time, then all of a sudden you have to ramp it up. It's not an excuse. It's reality. That's how it goes. You have a historic regular season, and we had a historic playoff. Good for you out there if you took the nice plus price with Columbus prior to the series. I don't know there were many people out there that expected the 4-0 sweep.
No, we take a look there, Teddy. Tampa Bay was the favorite at plus 195 coming into the Stanley Cup playoffs. But now we look at the next closest teams that were coming in there. Calgary and the Golden Knights were plus 1,000. If we take a look at the updated odds currently now, Teddy, Capitals plus 550, Islanders plus 650, the Jackets and the Golden Knights both at plus 700. Hey, this isn't the NBA where you usually see the top seeds move on, or at least the 1, 2, or 3 seeds move on. Hockey does this quite a bit here, and it's certainly going to be interesting to see how the hockey playoffs continue to go on. Now, we saw a team with the Blue Jackets that upset the Lightning, Teddy. Said, man, I can't even believe that. How about another upset in the making technically here? Chris Sale's 2019 season, Teddy, the 7-time All-Star, off to a horrific start. If we take a look at 2019 numbers, Teddy, an 8.5 ERA, an xFIP of 4.93, and a Sierra of 4.69. Could it all, we talk about running backs, Teddy, falling off the cliff. This is alarming for Chris Sale starting this year.
So the quotes coming out of Sale's mouth certainly stand out. Quote, as frustrated as I've ever been on a baseball field. Quote, flat out embarrassing. Quote, I just flat out stink right now. I don't know what it is. When you're going good, it's good. When you're going bad, it's pretty bad. And again, he had 6 days rest going into yesterday's game. He cruised through the first 2 innings. Fastball, 97 miles an hour after it was sitting in the low 90s his first 3 starts, but then couldn't get out of trouble in the third. Couldn't get out of trouble in the fourth. It was an ugly showing for a former ace. We'll see how the markets react to Chris Sale moving forward. There was a lot of support for him again last night. He doesn't sound like the most confident hurler in the world today.
Yeah, it was kind of interesting, Teddy, because when you take a look at it, first blink, they said, wait a second, I can get Chris Sale basically at a pick 'em or a plus 100 by the time the game got underway. Taking a look, we just talked about his 2019 statistics, his 2018 numbers, 2.11 ERA, 2.31 xFIP, Sierra 2.77, off the charts, and it's almost an opposite of what's taking place now. But let's also not forget, Teddy, when we talk about the pricing of the Boston Red Sox now, look, this isn't the first 1, 2, 3 games or first series. We say, hey, you know what? Let's take a breather and get back into it. After the 8-0 loss yesterday to the Yankees, Teddy, they now sit 6-12 in last place in the AL East. Can they get up off the carpet? What's going on, Teddy? What's our beliefs here?
So there's a couple things to talk about here. One is that it's clear right now the Red Sox have a little bit of a World Series hangover, and we've seen that from previous Boston World Series teams in the past. All right. This lineup is loaded. The pitching staff is fine. Sales issues are certainly a concern. But the Red Sox don't look like a sub-500 team. They certainly don't look like a 33% winning percentage team like they are right now. It'll get better for Boston. It's just been a very rough start. And given the nature of the AL East, a rough start can be problematic, especially with Tampa starting to run away with that division.
Crazy what we've seen so far in the NBA, Teddy. The Spurs led 78-59 with 4:30 left in the third quarter, looking to take one of those death grips 2-0 and take it back to San Antonio and see if they can increase the pressure. But they lost. Another day, another comeback in the NBA. The Nuggets closed -7. As we like to say, Teddy, some people might have been ripping up their tickets there, but not so fast. Late comeback there and cashes the ticket as well.
Yeah, I had a ticket on San Antonio last night. I wasn't real happy with that one. It happens. I've been on the wrong side of some of these. I've been on the right side of some of these. So will you as the playoffs progress. In-game wagering will obviously give you an opportunity to get on or off a bet as the game is progressing. But, I mean, this game, it felt over. Halfway through the third, it's a blowout. And then all of a sudden, here's a quote from Mike Malone. I could see on some guys' faces which way is this game going to go after a timeout when they were down 16 with under 6 to play in the third. I reminded them what the Clippers did Monday night and how much basketball is left. It's only going to happen, though, if we believe, we commit, we fight, and we attack. And the guys took it to heart. And we closed the game on a 57-32 run from that point on. I'll give Denver credit. I mean, during crunch time, Jamal Murray, Will Burton started the game 1 for 18. Well, Jamal Murray went nuts in the fourth quarter and was a difference maker. And the Spurs had no answers to Denver comeback. That was a huge win for the Nuggets last night. If they didn't win that game, they could have been swept out of the series. This really changes things from a series price perspective as well as from a momentum perspective, because Denver, they were in trouble and they solved that. It's a huge win for Mike Malone and the Nuggets last night.
Teddy, in baseball, the Rays getting a little bit of a bad break here. And yes, pun intended here, the Rays used their ace doing a broken toe injury, but kind of an interesting thing, Teddy. Look, while I'm in my 40s and, I'm getting a little bit older, it's hard enough for me to get just in and out of the shower, let alone get in and out of the shower and then try to pick up some granite 3-piece set that's sitting in the kitchen at this point. So an interesting break there, but it looks like only going to be 10 days, but it's a shame because the Rays right now, red hot 13-4 in the season, and Snell, the reigning Cy Young Award winner, having another good start to the year. Hopefully this doesn't hamper the Tampa Bay Rays.
Sure. I mean, look, dumb injuries happen to all of us. I had a bike accident yesterday when I was riding down the hill with my kid and ended up smashing. I can't lift my arm today. I'm, if you see me clink into the screen, there's nothing going over the shoulder. I'll put it that way. So dumb injuries can and do happen. Blake Snell had one. Quote, really dumb. It's like a 3-piece set, and this pole comes up like 2.5, 3 feet. Went to move it. I lifted up, and it wasn't glued to the pole, and the pole came crashing down. Snell's been brilliant. 36 Ks in 25 innings, a 2.16 ERA. Tampa will be fine without him, and is not a long-term injury. But just goes to show you, no matter what you do, be careful out there.
Yep, look at that dedication right here on That Betting Show from Teddy Savransky. The show must go on. Teddy understands it, and we're here for you. So let's take a look at some overnight line movers. Best place to check that out on the internet, SBRodds.com, the single best place to go. These lines are moving all the time, 365, 24/7. Let's take a look at one of these that we're going to take a look at. In the NBA, the Pistons total on the rise. Markets open up around 210.5 and rise to as high as 213. The playoffs are set. In this game, look, minus 15 for the Bucks. We'll get into this game a little bit more later, but the total of 213 on the rise and going higher here today, Teddy.
Yeah, games, remember all the game ones, 8-0 to the under. Games 2 are now 3-0 to the over. So we have seen the play on the floor be something more of up-tempo than we saw. I know, of course, more shots were made. We saw a bunch of teams ice cold from three-point range in game 1 of the series, including the Pistons, who shot 29% from 3, just 38% shooting overall. No Blake Griffin again for Detroit, and yet the markets think it's going to affect them more in the defensive end. The Bucks like to play fast. The Pistons had very little chance of stopping them in game 1. Markets expecting an up-tempo affair once again in game 2 this evening.
Checking SBRodds.com as we speak, Teddy. That line is now up to 214, so certainly on the move, almost a 3.5-point move. If we take a look at offshore, Chris reporting a 210.5 opening. Take a look at some Major League Baseball, Shark Frenzy, and a feeding frenzy down in D.C. The Shark getting a little bit of love here. Opens up around 125, now sitting currently right around that 114 level. Actually, let's see what we got here, 129, 130. Yeah, so right around that same level. Total of 8.5 some margin. Hellickson, let's not forget yesterday, Giants come into town, pick up that series opening victory. We'll see what happens today, but the Shark getting a little bit of love here, Teddy.
Yeah, I think it's more about Hellickson. The markets hate Hellickson. I don't know if it's the broader markets. There is a group of bettors that seems to come in against Hellickson. I saw it all year last year. We saw it in his first start this season. It's a group of bettors out there that are betting against Hellickson every time he steps on the hill. Now, he had 2 innings of bullpen work for his debut. He's the 5th starter. And then he had a great start against the Phillies. Of course, the fact that the Nats led that game 14-0 before he left helped him be more aggressive. But we're not talking about a pitcher who the wise guys like. We're not talking about a pitcher who the advanced metrics like. And you can expect to see anti-Hellickson money on a fairly regular basis, although it's worth noting Samardzija 0-6 with a 7.39 ERA in his last 6 starts against the Nationals.
Yeah, anybody's watch Hellickson pitch out there. Certainly not the power pitcher, almost a poor man's Greg Maddux, trying to find your spots. And if you're not getting help from the umpire, not finding your spots, those balls can certainly leave the yard rather quickly. Seeing the A's bounce back is what they're going to take a look at on Wednesday. Athletics opened up around plus 102. Rose as high as minus 114. Looking now at SBRodds.com, right around a minus 110, but still a nice line shift on that. Total of 9. Miley and Montes on the mound after the Stros pegged Oakland 9-1 last night.
Yeah, the markets do not ride streaks. When you're talking about how the MLB markets are going to move, they don't care that Houston's won 10 in a row. They don't like Wade Miley. That's why the money's coming on the A's. I mean, it's just that simple. Yeah, it's 10 straight wins for the Astros, including 4 of them against this Oakland team during that span. But like Miley, although he shut out the A's for 5 2/3 in a 6-0 win against Houston earlier this season. I'll put it this way. It's not my money coming on Oakland.
Segment number 3, Teddy, watch what you bet here. And again, it's always nice in the opening round because we get a nice little staggered game totals. 3 games last night, 3 games tonight. Let's hit these triple headers, Teddy. Celtics look to take a 2-0 series lead in the NBA Eastern Conference. Pacers versus Celtics -7. Total 205.5 money line split plus 274 minus 340. Live 7 p.m. Teddy tonight from the TD Garden in Boston. Pacers 40-42 against the number on the season, 16-20 against the number as a dog, and 11-17 as a road dog this year. Celtics only 39-42 overall against the number, 31-33 as a favorite, and 21-18. Should be a decent one here in Beantown tonight, Teddy. Game 1 of our 3-game stretch here.
Sure, and we saw a significant market move this morning. This game was 7.5 everywhere, and boom. The wise guy said, and they took out basically all the 7.5s offshore, and they're starting to go away here in Vegas as well. But the plus 7.5 was a clear wise guy play in early action on Wednesday. Like the wise guys necessarily having a great playoffs, but it's something that they, that hook was something they appeared to be very interested in. Of course, when you talk about game 1, tight first half, didn't look like the Celtics had solved it. And then all of a sudden in the third quarter, Boston came out and played some pretty sick defense. And/or Indiana played some pretty sick offense. Pacers scored 29 points after halftime. That's 2 quarters of basketball. That's 24 minutes. They scored 29 points, 8 in the third quarter. Some of the quotes. Where's the one? Where is it? Sorry. I don't know who said it. We've got to shake this off and realize there was a lot of good in there. I don't think if we played with our eyes closed, we could have an 8-point quarter. Again, 70 points, 74 points, 15 points lower than any previous game this season for the Pacers. That being said, they've been held under 103 of their last 4, and that included a 20-point home loss to Boston in the final week of the regular season. No Marcus Smart, no problem for the Celtics. They won despite having their lowest point total in any victory this season. I wouldn't be surprised at all if we see another defensive scrum. Total 206, 206.5. I don't know the pace is going to be there. I'm not convinced the offensive production is going to be there. This one sure feels like a grinder, just like game 1 did.
Yeah, in game 1, Ted, I remember tweeting out, I couldn't even believe it. You saw the 8 points in the third quarter, and then midway through the fourth quarter, they only had 4 points on the board in the fourth quarter, so 12 total points with, just about 6-7 minutes left on the clock in the game. Certainly left a lot to be desired. But how about this game, Teddy? Detonation in round 1, game 1 between the Pistons and the Bucks, and officially listed right now, Blake Griffin is listed as questionable for the game with a knee injury, but the Bucks huge favorite again, -15, total of 213, money line split plus 850, minus 17.99, 8 p.m. tonight on NBA TV live from Milwaukee, Wisconsin. The Pistons, Teddy, 42-40 against the number on the season, 14-18 as a road dog. The Bucks hammering people and building bankrolls left and right at 48-32 on the season, 41-29 against the number as a favorite, and 23-16 against the spread as a home favorite. Getting the job done. Can they get that 15-point win and cover tonight?
Well, when you look at the postseason, it looked like there was 15 playoff teams and one team that was just going to be happy to be there. Whoever's going to get that last spot in the East, and that happened to be Detroit. In a banged-up squad. Griffin was hurt down the stretch. I'm seeing disparate information about Griffin right now. On the one hand, he's officially listed as out. On the other hand, he practiced. He was on the floor, and the quotes, coming out of Detroit are, there's a chance, Dwayne Casey talking yesterday. Monday, I should say. He worked out today. He's lobbying. He wants to play. It's the medical staff and the doctors, the ones making those decisions. not me, not Blake. So you would expect a significant market move if Blake Griffin plays. The 15 is not going to be there. It'll go down to, 14, 13 and a half. Who knows how low it'll go, especially with the Pistons coming off that embarrassing loss. But the Pistons aren't any good, and the Bucks are. And it's pretty clear, Milwaukee didn't win 60 games by accident. Their starters, none of them played 30 minutes the other night. None of them played more than 26 minutes in that blowout win. The Pistons defense, Dwayne Casey, we're all over the map defensively. We didn't get anything done. We have another level that we have to get to with our intensity and physicality because they're coming through with balance. The only thing that the Bucks need to worry about is complacency. And if the Bucks come out flat, Pistons can hang. If the Bucks bring their A game, Pistons have no chance. They are not going to be competitive with the number one seed in the Eastern Conference. So this is the type of game that maybe you pay attention early on, see how Milwaukee's looking. If they come to play, if Giannis has that look in his eye tonight, the Pistons are going to be in a lot of trouble once again, just like they were in Game 1.
Non-competitive, Teddy, that's the word of the day for the Jazz in Game 1 versus the Houston Rockets. So they were run over. The Jazz and the Rockets going to line it up for Game 2. Rockets favored by 6.5. Total of 214 moneyline split plus 230 minus 270. Jazz are 44-37 against the number in all games this year. 10-7 though as a dog this year, and 8-7 against the spread as a road dog. Rockets 41-39 against the number in the season. 31-30 against the spread as a favorite, and 21-14 though against the spread as a home favorite. Game 2 tips off tonight.
Well, Utah came into the game saying we're not going to let James Harden beat us. And Harden had 29 points, 10 assists, but Harden wasn't Harden that beat them. The entire starting lineup all got in double figures. Clint Capella, who was under the weather in that game, ate up the low post. It was the supporting cast for the Rockets that was the difference in that ball game, and it was a pretty ugly difference. Houston has had a very easy time with Utah in most recent meetings. They did in the postseason last year. The Jazz have a difficult time matching up against that team. Mike D'Antoni talking about Utah's defensive strategy on Harden. They're like, we're not going to let this guy beat us. We're going to make sure that he only drives left, all of that stuff. Quote, they throw something at him, and they might get him a little bit, and he figures it out, and then they don't get him anymore. He's so good offensively, it makes me laugh. He's so good, I don't know what you do. You're not stopping him. I don't care what you do. Harden talking about Utah's defense. I've seen literally every defense you can possibly see. So it was just a matter of adjusting and continuing to communicate with the guys of what spots they needed to be in. Now, Donovan Mitchell for Utah, no assists, 5 turnovers. He had 19 points. That's not what the Jazz need from him. It's, quote, no assists, 5 turnovers. That's huge. You can't have no assists and 5 turnovers. All that being said, even if Mitchell plays better, even if the Rockets don't have that balance, even if James Harden gets slowed down, I'm still not convinced that Utah is good enough to win this game. And they're not good enough to win this game. I'm not taking them +7. Rockets are the class here, and I expect them to show it once again.
Hey, Teddy, as the world turns, we're going to get a little bit of NBA offseason action going. And the topic today that we saw a report come out said, Lakers front office, boy, I don't know, Teddy, if we can give Tyronn Lue the head command because he'll turn it back over to LeBron. Newsflash, everywhere LeBron goes, and the reason he came to L.A. is so he can have full control, trade the team, bring his boys back here, make one last run at it. But I did find it interesting that this came up, and some in the Lakers front office want the assistant coach from the Philadelphia 76ers, Monty Williams, to be the coach because he won't turn it all over to LeBron. Only in the NBA, Teddy, that you're afraid that one of your players will turn the tide in your organization. It never ends with the NBA. It's going to be a fabulous offseason to watch the next 2 to 3 months of as the world turns, according to LeBron James.
Sure. And we talk about the NFL silly season, and that seems to go on for extended stretches. The NBA is reaching that level now where we're talking about NBA offseason moves all spring, all throughout the playoffs, into the summer months. And when you have a marquee franchise like the Lakers and the NBA's number one most recognizable player in LeBron James, and they're coming off a disastrous season, they don't have a head coach, and there are questions about the organization and who's going to get traded, of course this is going to be a headline. The Lakers are the marquee franchise in the league. And since the Knicks have been so hopeless for so long, it's all LA now and it's all LeBron. So expect the headlines. We could probably expect the Lakers to be overvalued coming into the next season as well, when they suit up for the 2019-2020 campaign, much the way they were overvalued coming into 2019 or the 18-19 season, just because they're the Lakers. And you hear about them every day, and they got some guy named LeBron on their team who tends to attract a lot of betting attention as well.
Teddy is right. The silly season does get cranked up once again tonight in the NFL as the season release is going to be at 8 p.m. You'll see the leaks all day through. But the one thing you can be assured of yourself, every single fan base will say how they got screwed on their schedule this year, and it only gets started. We'll continue this and much, much more tomorrow. Thanks for tuning in today to That Betting Show for April 17, 2019, your one-stop shop for all your sports betting needs. And we got you out of here in 20 minutes today. He's Teddy Savranski. Give him a follow on Twitter at Teddy_Covers. I'm Donnie Seymour, Right Side VP. We'll be back tomorrow to review all of these triple header games in the NBA and also set you up for Major League Baseball as well. Enjoy the night, folks.